Live from Cool Boys Central.
You're the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
From bat tips to bat nips, we are just three cool boys revisiting Batman, the animated series, and wearing hats. This is Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast.
I see Batman and Beyond.
Greetings, Cool Boy Bat Nation, and welcome to another installment of Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast. I'm Felk.
I'm Ballard.
And I'm Steve.
So cool.
Tonight's episode is Dreams in Darkness, directed by Dick Seabass. I bit my tongue when I said Dick there.
You all right?
And written by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. This episode originally aired November 3rd, 1992 in the weekday, but December 20th, 1992 in prime time. That's weird that it was a rerun in prime time of an episode that had aired the weekday. It's usually reversed. I don't think this is the first time it's been that way. This episode features the Scarecrow. Wikipedia says Batman is incarcerated in Arkham Asylum after being exposed to the Scarecrow's fear-inducing gas. Batman knows that the Scarecrow has escaped for the second time and is planning to poison Gotham's water supply with the same fear-inducing gas, and he must bring himself to break the law and escape from Arkham before the Scarecrow brings Gotham to its knees for a blowjob. Notes: this episode is loosely based on Batman: The Last Arkham of Batman Shadow of the Bat number 1 through 4 by Alan Grant. This episode adapted the comic book story with the inclusion of the Scarecrow instead of Victor Zsasz and Dr. Bartholomew instead of Jeremiah Arkham. And the Scarecrow scheme in this episode was
Steve.
I can cut this if you want to recap all these notes. Do you want to do that?
No, I actually had read that comic book series. And
Just come in then. Just come in clean when he's done and be like, I read that comic book series and let me just say this or whatever.
No.
Well, it's better than you just being all like in the background the whole time. Like, wait, I want to say.
I had one note.
I want to say that.
I
Wait a
just had
second.
one
Let
note.
me say
I was
it.
like, oh.
I highlighted it. It's
But
mine.
It doesn't matter.
The other note is that this is similar to the Batman Begins plot,
What?
apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
That was my two notes. Those were I had
Shit.
two general notes.
I literally have nothing left to talk about this whole episode.
I would suggest you guys check the Wikipedia entries for these so you don't get so horribly shocked by when I read what Wikipedia says.
Oh, man.
I do look at them because that way I know what to not discuss.
Oh, maybe everyone should do that rather than being like, my notes.
I know.
Tell me in
whatever.
advance, hey, don't read that part because I want to really discuss it. And then I won't.
Lesson learned, I'm sure.
To talk about this episode, here's Ballard and Steve.
Thank you.
Hey there.
Thank you
Hey
so much. Steve, did you know that when Felk said that this was based on a comic book that I didn't read that comic book?
Oh, man, I did. It was like one of the few little series that I remember reading, but I don't remember the details of it. But it was a fun one because it starts off very similar to the series, this episode where it's Batman in a straitjacket, and where the doctor basically is saying he's always been insane, and now we know it for sure. And then it's kind of this whole film noir sort of let's flash back into how he got here. And that's how this whole beginning of the episode is structured, which I thought was, as a comic book was a lot of fun, and as a episode is a lot of fun whenever they do a film noir voiceover and and he was wrong.
Great voiceover.
It definitely has, Batman talking back to, what's going on in the episode. And him acting like a beat detective, and so that's what he was. He was a the world's greatest detective, and
I don't like these type of episodes.
Really? Yeah, I like this one.
No, see, for me the issue with that is I don't like episodes where your superhero is all cray and locked up in an asylum or something or in prison, because by the end of the episode, I know he's already gonna get out. So, and I don't really care. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, some things, like, you'd obviously, when you're tipped off to, like, hey, this is what's gonna have to happen, and then they go, like, flashback 3 hours earlier, flashback 5 days earlier. Like, I like, sometimes it is intriguing, but something about this one and, like, this style, I don't know what it is. It's when it's in the prison or asylum, crazy house, whatever the fuck. I don't like it as much. But Batman is, like, obviously Steve was saying, was, talking about his how he got set up and how he got into the situation. And one of that is actually happening right now. It's when he comes across this driller guy. And did you notice? I didn't notice this as a kid. This driller clearly has, like, he's amputated, like, at his, like, right arm, like, pretty much at the elbow. It's a huge drill. Did you see that?
No, I guess I didn't notice it when I was watching.
I was like, he clearly, I mean, because, like, if you line his arms up, which there are points in the animation where you can't do that, it's like it happens, like, right at the base of the elbow practically. Like, his forearm is almost all gone. It's drill. I thought that was kind of cool. I never realized that before. Nice little amputee, like, propaganda in there. I think we shouldn't allow amputees to run for office, personally.
Wow.
Hot take.
Also, I don't think it really matters because Batman killed the guy when he fucking threw water on him and then hit electrical like powerhouse and killed the guy, and then all of a sudden the Scarecrow's gas went everywhere all over him to the point where Batman, like, touches his neck to find out, like, if he's alive, but we don't get any follow up. He's just like, all Batman says is, like, he was too beaten up to talk. Or something,
I'm just thinking of a amputee listening to this podcast, just visiting somebody who is an amputee listening to this podcast, and he hears you, and he just, like, looks down at his limb, and he goes, delete.
Yeah, really. Well, they're showing him right now in hospital. He obviously lived, and yes, he is an amputee because they show his, like, drill arm and everything. As Batman goes in to check on him while he's sleeping. Batman is so cray-cray, Batman. In the reality, the only thing that's cool about this episode is that Batman Begins stole the concept and made it better.
I like this episode. I thought it was a good one.
You like everything, Steve.
No, I don't. But, I do. I guess I do like this series. But I did think this was a good one in the fact that it, once again, was pushing that whole issue of, is Batman being pushed over the edge? And he clearly is. Like, he gets hit with this fear toxin and he's, like, fearful of Robin exploding, from a bomb from the Joker, which I think is a reference.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So
Jason
you're right.
Todd.
There's two
And,
things. There's two things about this episode that are great. And it's the hallucinations, the two of them. They are awesome. The fucking Wayne murder hallucination is fucking incredible.
Yeah, I thought the animation was well done.
The animation is top notch, and the hallucination essentially of all of Batman's rogues, and yes, absolutely Robin. And
when they
Alfred.
start flowing into each other and there's a point where one of them rips his face off and he turns into, like, Two-Face.
Yeah, the Penguin rips his face off and
he explodes into, like, Two-Face or something and I thought this was just for, once again, I guess it's a kid's cartoon. That this was like that was like some fearful shit to show at 4:00. I think that's probably why they showed it again on primetime. This was a well done episode that they probably were pushing for.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, Two-Face then immediately melts, almost kind of like Clayface-ish or Clayface-ish, and then becomes Poison Ivy. I mean, and then she shoots out, like, Clayface like style fucking clay arms that are vines.
It's her,
and, like,
it's
sucks
definitely
Batman in, right? I mean, it's fucking crazy. It is absolutely, it's great though. It is. I mean, that the hallucinations, they are absolutely good, 100%, no question. But this episode has huge glaring mistakes though, Steve. Huge glaring mistakes.
Whoa. Well, I have one more note that on this whole psyche thing, because I mean, I think they literally say that his fear is that, like, he's lived too long in the darkness. And I think that's just something that they, like, repeat as a theme, throughout the series, and which is interesting. That is something that they want to develop. Is this too much for him? Is fighting all these people? Has he created his rogue gallery and whatnot?
No, yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's true, and that, I guess, good on it for that. but that doesn't like win it for me for some reason. I guess I don't know why. It just doesn't.
You know in every episode that the villain is going to lose. Or I don't think there is an episode that they have where I don't know, your critique that you know that he's going to get out of it is like almost at any
it's just the prison thing. It's always just feels so false. Like the prison thing about it. Like the idea of like you're locked up. You're not getting out of Supermax.
One of the things I thought was really silly was that the doctor, he basically gives a rationale. You were asking before, why does he let all the villains wear their costumes inside the asylum? He basically says, we need to let them wear their costumes because if we take them off, that might be catastrophic to their identities and they'll become catatonic.
Which is fucking backpedaling realistically because they're just trying to retcon the idea that, well, we can't remove his mask and show that he's Bruce Wayne in the Arkham Asylum. No one's going to look under the mask. No, you can stay. Keep your secret identity. That's how fucking asylums work. Mm-hmm. Keep your fucking secret identity. We won't know who you are. You're just Batman on the books.
Yeah.
Well, that's another glaring mistake. Thank you for pointing that out, Steve. That's a good point. And then I think the other one that I noticed was at least that I pointed out in Be a Clown when Batman breathes underwater and how weird it is. But he's in his straitjacket and then he gets fully submerged underwater in a tank, upside down, in a straitjacket, and gets the fuck out of it. And in this episode, because the writers, Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens, yes, that's right, Judith and Garfield are married. They were too busy fucking each other, this husband and wife duo team of writing, that they didn't pay attention. And maybe, who knows, maybe Dick Seabass was getting in there. You don't get a name like Dick for not fucking. And so now you've got all three of them fucking together and no one's paying attention to continuity, that Batman knows how to get out of a fucking straitjacket. Because what do? They have Batman get out of a straitjacket only one way possible, with the sharp edge of an axe. He just knows how to get out of these things.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing. But
Bullshit.
Maybe he needs the water. Maybe it was something to do with being underwater and gravity not being part of it that he's able to get out.
No way. I've seen enough David Blaine and David Copperfield.
That's the only difference. Well, maybe that's what he knew. But he was taught with the underwater method. So he's like, when he's like, hey, put me in the straitjacket, but dump me in a lake first.
What was the Fox show, the 20th Century Fox show, the magician that like revealed secrets and he wore a mask?
I know what you're talking about, but it was just like,
it was huge.
The masked
magician. It was such a big deal.
Yeah.
I loved it. Whenever that show was on, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm watching this because I'm going to see how magicians do shit. I want to see how they do it. You know, and like he did that. He did a whole straitjacket, thing. Mm-hmm. It just feels weak that the idea of Batman's locked up in an asylum where they can't check his identity. He's in a straitjacket he can easily hop out of. And knowing the character, he should be able to get the fuck out of the cell super easy. Well, Sean Connery got out of a cell easier than this, and fucking Goldfinger by just walking back and forth and then ducking.
Why is Batman in there? And why is he... So it was like showing how he got the fear toxin and why he was all crazy. Because he was hallucinating. He was like screaming... They're coming. This isn't normal Batman behavior. So it was like, obviously, like...
They don't know Batman. They don't hang out with him like,
Batman
barely.
Is silent. He's like...
Batman doesn't deal with the administration aspects of fucking the criminals and how they like bringing them in. He drops them off at the front gate and says, with a little note that says, you're welcome, your friendly neighborhood Batman.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that... when Batman's raving, that's a sign that there's something wrong. That's why you're questioning how did that happen.
Yeah,
that would be.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe something's wrong, and I should pay attention to it. Like someone's putting poison in the fucking water supply. And what if Ra's al Ghul is actually going to double it and back and fuck him over because he doesn't want to necessarily try to hold him at ransom? He wants to hurt everyone.
What I thought was funny though was that the Doctor. I think that this is the second time that Scarecrow has escaped Arkham, and the Doctor's all super confident when Batman's like, hey, the Scarecrow has escaped. And the Doctor's like, that could never happen. And then he has his
slow your roll. Slow your roll, bats.
And he comes back all like kind of non-apologetic. He's like, yeah, we checked and he got out, but there's no way he could actually escape, but he's just not in his room.
Yeah, well, you know what this episode boils down to? Another fucking horrible trope of the show.
that everybody.
It
can
boils
escape
down to
Arkham.
an electrical fire that explodes everything, and then that's how the episode ends. With I'm sorry. The episode actually ends with Scarecrow, and the Arkham Asylum screaming his head off, and now he's the crazy one.
I did like that. I had a little quote from the Scarecrow that he basically wants to do the greatest controlled experiment in mass madness in history, or something like that. You know, so he has this. He still is like this professor who wants to do some sort of crazy experiment where he just wants to see everybody go mad. You know, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, that's why Gotham University kicked him out. They were like, dude, you can't fucking work here anymore. You're psycho.
But he really upped his game, because right before that, he was basically rigging football games to get some money. And now he's decided to, you know, cause
Well, you're right. He has upped his
hysteria.
game because his hair's less. He has less bedhead this time. He's like it's actually like he tried to comb the straw of the mask because he actually was trying to make it like cool and like be more collected and everything. I like the mask though. It's nice to see like this. It's I think it's practically the exact same mask, and maybe it's different, but I think it looked the
Yeah, I
exact
think
same.
it's slightly different.
How's it different?
I think that they made the eyes like a little bit different, and it's a little bit more of like a skull.
It's just a different animation team. I mean, this episode is like only 3 episodes away from the last Scarecrow episode. It's pretty quick, and at least in production
Well, it's just a
order.
mask, so he just keeps fine tuning it.
Think about that. So this Scarecrow episode is 128, and the last Scarecrow episode was 124. So yeah, so only 4 episodes ago we had a Scarecrow episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy.
I know, and the doctor's all super confident that he hasn't escaped, even though he just escaped, like, you know.
Yeah, and he threatened like killing like everyone at a stadium. Yeah. All right. Well, right now we're watching this cool Rogues fucking hallucination, but I'm pretty much done with this episode. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I'd give this one though 4 out of 5.
I give it 2 out of 5. It gets like that extra boy mostly just because of the cool hallucinations. Otherwise, I really didn't like this episode this time. I was kind of bored.
No, really.
I think I liked it a lot more when I was a kid, though, honestly, but this time, not as much.
Cool.
I thought I liked Scarecrow episodes, but I'm starting to think that maybe I just like the Scarecrow levels in Arkham games. And I had the two kind of maybe confused in my brain.
Great bat stuff, gentlemen. Cool Boy Nation, tune in next week. Same cool bat time, same cool bat channel. Cool Bat Nation, be sure to let us bat know what you bat thought of Dreams in Darkness, or what your favorite bat episode is by bat emailing us at batmanandbeyondcoolboys@gmail.com. New episodes of Batman and Beyond come out every Tuesday. Please check out our other great Cool Boy Central content with The Cool Boys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Patreon, where the Cool Boys have an uncensored discussion about 5 so cool movies, everything ranging from bods to dongs and all the boners they have given us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Cool Boys Podcast and Facebook group us at The Cool Boys Podcast. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube by searching for The Cool Boys Podcast. And be sure to rate and review us on iTunes at The Cool Boys Podcast. And if you like, you can donate to us on Patreon and receive additional episodes of Cool Boys After Dark and a Cool Boy shout out on the Cool Boys Podcast that airs every Tuesday. You can find the Cool Boys on Patreon at patreon.com/coolboyspodcast. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, Cool Boy Nation. Until next time, it's Byzies from Felk.
That's Byzies from Ballard.
And Byzies from Steven.
So cool.
Batman
And beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Batman!
and Beyond.
Oh, yeah.